Most people think stubborn belly fat is a personal failure. They assume they're not disciplined enough, that they should just eat less, move more, or push harder. And when none of that works, they end up feeling frustrated, ashamed, or confused. But what if the problem isn't you at all? What if your body is simply stuck in a mode where it literally cannot burn fat, no matter how hard you try? There's a hidden biological switch inside your body that controls whether you're burning fat or storing it. And that switch is insulin. When insulin is low and responsive, your body can access stored fat for energy. But when insulin is high or resistant, often because of stress, poor sleep, or modern eating patterns, your body gets locked into fat storage mode. It's not about willpower. It's not about cutting more calories. It's not about doing longer workouts. It's about a hormone that quietly decides what your body does with the food you eat. The tricky part is that most people have no idea this switch is stuck. Insulin resistance develops slowly, silently, and for years you may not notice anything except that your belly fat won't budge. You can be dieting, exercising, and doing everything right, and still not lose weight because your body simply isn't able to burn fat efficiently. But there's good news once you understand how this insulin switch works, and more importantly, how to turn it off. You unlock a completely different way of losing fat. It becomes easier, more natural, more predictable, and it starts to feel like your body is finally working with you instead of against you. Before we dive deeper, I'd love to hear from you. What's the most frustrating part of your weight loss journey so far? Most people think weight loss is simply about calories in and calories out, but the truth is that your metabolism doesn't operate like a basic math equation. It operates more like a thermostat, always adjusting, always responding to signals inside your body. And one of the strongest signals it responds to is insulin. Think of insulin as the master switch that tilts your body toward either storing fat or burning it. When insulin is balanced and responsive, your body can easily tap into its stored energy. But when insulin is high or constantly spiking, especially over long periods of time, that switch gets stuck in fat storage mode. And once it's stuck, even extreme dieting can feel like pushing a car with the parking brake on. Imagine a fuel tank with two compartments, one for sugar and one for fat. Your body wants to use sugar first because it's quick and easy. Insulin's job is to move sugar out of your blood and into your cells. When insulin is elevated, your body believes it has plenty of immediate fuel available, so it keeps the fat tank completely sealed. You could be carrying extra fat around your belly, but your body won't burn it because insulin is telling it, we already have fuel, no need to open the fat tank. That's why when insulin is chronically high, your body becomes almost blind to fat, burning opportunities. Over time, with frequent snacking, sugary foods, stress, and even poor sleep, insulin rises again and again. Each spike keeps the switch flipped toward storing energy instead of burning it. At first, your cells respond well. They open the door and let sugar in. But with too many spikes, your cells get overwhelmed. They start ignoring insulin's message. This is insulin resistance. In response, your body sends out even more insulin, trying harder to get the signal through. Now you have high insulin, resistant cells, and a metabolism locked in fat storage mode. This is why so many people say they gain weight easily, especially around the belly, even when they're not overeating. Their body is simply storing most of what they eat instead of using it, and it's also why many people feel hungry soon after eating. When insulin is high, sugar gets pushed quickly out of the bloodstream, leaving you tired, foggy, or craving more food, especially carbs. Not because you lack willpower, but because your body is trying to quickly refill the sugar tank since it can't access the fat tank. Think of it like a house with two power sources, solar panels fat and batteries sugar. If the battery switch is stuck on, your home will always use battery power first. Even on a bright sunny day, when solar energy is abundant, the system never taps into it. Your fat is that solar energy, plenty of it, stored and ready, but insulin is the switch that decides whether you can access it or not. When insulin is constantly elevated, your solar panels stay disconnected, no matter how much energy they could provide. This is also why people often feel exhausted when trying to lose weight through extreme dieting. Cutting calories without addressing insulin means you're eating less, but your body still can't reach the fat stores. So it slows down your metabolism, increases cravings, and makes you feel deprived. It's not that the diet isn't working. It's that the insulin switch is blocking access to the very energy you're trying to burn. The empowering part of this is that once you understand the role of insulin, everything starts to make sense. You begin to see why you could be doing so many things right and still struggle. You begin to understand why belly fat is especially stubborn, because abdominal fat cells are more responsive to insulin, meaning they store fat more quickly and release it more slowly. This isn't a character flaw. It's not laziness or lack of discipline, it's biology, and the most hopeful part is that insulin is not a permanent switch. It can be reset, it can be lowered, it can become sensitive again. Once that happens, the body naturally shifts toward burning fat instead of storing it. People often report that their hunger decreases, cravings fade, energy improves, and for the first time in a long time, their body feels like it's cooperating instead of resisting. This shift doesn't require suffering or punishment. It just requires understanding what your body has been trying to tell you all along. One of the hardest parts about struggling with weight, especially belly fat, is that most people don't realize their body has been sending warning signals long before the scale starts creeping up. Insulin resistance doesn't usually announce itself loudly. It doesn't show up with symptoms that feel medical. Instead, it shows up in small, everyday frustrations that most people blame on themselves. When the insulin switch is stuck in the on position, your body behaves differently, and the clues are often subtle. Recognizing these signs can be incredibly validating, because it helps you understand that what you're experiencing isn't a lack of discipline. It's a hormone imbalance quietly directing your metabolism. One of the earliest signs is constant cravings, especially for sugary or starchy foods. When insulin stays elevated, it moves sugar out of your bloodstream quickly, which makes your blood sugar drop faster than it should. That drop sends a message to your brain: we need quick energy right now. So you begin craving bread, pasta, sweets, or snacks. Not because you're weak, but because your body is trying to correct an imbalance. Many people feel like they're addicted to carbs, when in reality, their hormones are driving those urges. Another common sign is never feeling truly full. You can finish a meal and still feel like something is missing, or you might feel hungry again soon after eating. This happens because high insulin levels block your body from accessing stored fat. Even with plenty of energy on board, your cells feel deprived. It's like having a full refrigerator, but the door is jammed shut. You can see the food, but you can't reach it. So your brain keeps sending hunger signals, trying to get more fuel into a system that's struggling to use what it already has. Belly fat gain is another strong sign. When insulin stays elevated, it stores excess energy specifically around the abdomen. Belly fat cells are particularly sensitive to insulin, meaning they store fat faster and release it slower. So if you've noticed that your weight tends to gather around your midsection, or that your waistline is expanding even when you're not eating more, this is often your body's way of signaling an insulin issue. Many people also experience afternoon crashes. Around 2 or 3 p.m., you might feel your energy completely drain. You might find yourself needing caffeine or something sweet to get through the rest of the day. This crash often happens because your blood sugar is on a roller coaster. spiking when insulin rises, then falling sharply when insulin clears the sugar from your bloodstream. That drop leads to fatigue, brain fog, irritability, or even a sense of being overwhelmed. Again, it's not a lack of motivation. It's your body trying to stabilize itself. Some people notice that gaining weight is easy, but losing weight feels nearly impossible. No matter how clean they eat or how much they exercise, the scale barely moves. They may lose a little at first, then get stuck. This isn't because their efforts aren't working. It's because the insulin switch is still stuck on, blocking access to stored fat. When the fat tank is locked, the body slows down metabolism to conserve energy. It's simply trying to protect you. Skin changes are another sign people often overlook. Dark, velvety patches around the neck or underarms, skin tags, or increased acne can all point toward elevated insulin levels. These symptoms can feel random, but they're actually the body's way of coping with high insulin activity. Trouble sleeping can also be connected. Insulin resistance often travels with cortisol imbalances, making it harder to fall asleep, stay asleep, or feel rested in the morning. You might wake up tired, even after a full night's rest, because your hormones are stuck in a cycle that keeps your nervous system slightly on alert. Then there's the feeling of being puffy or inflamed, swelling in the hands or feet, bloating after meals, or feeling heavier than usual even when your weight hasn't changed. These can all be related to insulin's impact on fluid retention and inflammation. When you start connecting these dots, something powerful happens. You stop blaming yourself. You begin to see that your body has been communicating with you all along, just in a language most of us were never taught to understand. These signs aren't failures, they're messages, and once you recognize them, you can begin to respond with compassion and strategies that genuinely help your body reset. So many people carry a quiet sense of shame when they struggle to lose belly fat. They tell themselves they must not be disciplined enough, or maybe they're just someone who gains weight easily. They try cutting calories, skipping meals, pushing harder in workouts, or avoiding their favorite foods, only to find that nothing really changes. And when the scale barely moves, it can feel like a personal failure. But what most people never learn is that willpower isn't the issue at all. The real problem is that insulin resistance blocks the very process that dieting is supposed to activate. When insulin is high or your cells have become resistant to it, your body simply does not allow stored fat to be released. It's like trying to withdraw money from a bank account that's frozen. No matter how badly you need that energy, the system won't give you access. Your fat cells aren't just passive storage units. They respond to hormonal signals. When insulin is elevated, its message to fat cells is very clear: hold on to everything. This is a survival mechanism. Insulin's job is to help your body store energy after eating. So if insulin is constantly high, because of frequent meals, certain foods, stress, or sleep issues, your fat cells are constantly being told to store more and release nothing. Even if you're eating fewer calories, your body still can't tap into stored fat because insulin is blocking the exit door. So instead of burning fat for energy, your body slows your metabolism, increases hunger, triggers cravings, and tries to get you to eat something quickly accessible. This is why dieting often feels like a battle against your own biology. Imagine your body as a hybrid car with two fuel sources. One tank is for quick-burning energy like sugar and carbs, and the other tank is your fat reserves. When insulin is high, the fat tank gets locked. The car is forced to run only on the quick access tank. If that tank runs empty, because you're eating less, your body doesn't automatically switch over to fat. Instead, it sends you signals that feel like weakness, hunger, irritability, or exhaustion. It's not being dramatic. It's trying to preserve itself because it thinks the fat tank is unavailable. This is why people can feel tired, sluggish, or mentally foggy when they try to lose weight through calorie restriction alone. Their body isn't malfunctioning, it's following the hormonal instructions it has been given. When you think about it this way, it becomes clear that willpower never had a fair chance. You can't force your body to burn fat by simply wanting it badly enough or pushing harder. If insulin resistance is present, your metabolism is working from a different rulebook. It's protecting stored energy instead of releasing it. That's why someone can be eating very little, doing hours of exercise, and still struggling to lose weight. It has nothing to do with motivation or effort. It's a hormonal block. Understanding this can be incredibly relieving. When people learn that insulin, not self-control, is behind their stalled progress, something often shifts inside them. They stop beating themselves up. They stop feeling like failures. The guilt and frustration begin to ease. Instead of thinking, "What's wrong with me?" they start asking, "What's going on in my body?" And that question opens the door to real change. Because once you address insulin resistance, by lowering spikes, improving sensitivity, and giving your metabolism a chance to reset, your body becomes much more willing to burn fat. Hunger becomes more manageable. Energy goes up. Cravings decrease. Fat burning finally becomes possible again. You might remember times in your life when losing weight felt easier. Maybe your appetite felt stable or your stomach wasn't such a struggle. Chances are during those times your insulin was more balanced. That's how powerful this hormone is. It quietly influences your hunger, your energy, your cravings, and your ability to burn fat. When you understand that insulin resistance, not willpower, has been standing in your way, you gain clarity and compassion for yourself. You start to see that your body wasn't betraying you. It was trying to protect you based on the signals it was receiving. This shift in perspective is one of the most important steps toward healing your metabolism. When you stop blaming yourself, you make space for real, lasting progress. And when you learn how to turn off that insulin switch, your body can finally access the energy it's been holding on to for so long. You're not broken, you're not weak, you're not failing. Your biology just needs the right support to do what it naturally wants to do. Restore balance and let go of extra fat. Turning the insulin switch off doesn't require extreme diets, complicated routines, or punishing workouts. In fact, most people are surprised to learn that small, gentle changes, done consistently, can have a powerful effect on lowering insulin and reactivating fat burning. Your body wants balance. It wants to use the energy you already have stored. When you give it the right signals, even simple habits can begin shifting insulin from fat storage mode back into fat burning mode. Think of this process like slowly dimming a light rather than flipping a switch instantly. Each small adjustment lowers the brightness just a bit, and together they restore metabolic calm. One of the most effective ways to lower insulin is spacing out your meals so your body gets a break from constant digestion. Many people eat from the moment they wake up until right before bed, which keeps insulin elevated all day. You don't need to jump into long fasting windows. Simply allowing 3-4 hours between meals can make a big difference. If you're used to snacking, you might start by reducing one snack per day. Later, you can slowly move toward a pattern of 3 meals with no snacking. These breaks give your insulin time to fall, and when insulin is low, your body can tap into stored fat for fuel. Gentle movement is another powerful tool. You don't need intense workouts to impact insulin sensitivity. A 10-minute walk after meals helps your muscles absorb glucose more efficiently, which reduces the insulin spike from that meal. Even small bursts of movement, light stretching, climbing stairs, or walking around the block act like signals telling your body to open up those energy pathways. Some people imagine this as unlocking the cells so they can use fuel more effectively. When your muscles take in more glucose, your insulin doesn't have to rise as much, and the fat burning switch gradually becomes more responsive. Nutrient pairing is another simple but effective strategy. When you eat carbs by themselves, like bread, fruit, or snacks, your blood sugar rises quickly and insulin follows. But when you pair those carbs with protein, fiber, or healthy fats, the rise in blood sugar is slower and steadier. This means your insulin stays lower. Instead of eliminating carbs, think of balancing them. For example, pair fruit with nuts, add avocado or olive oil to a meal, or include protein with every plate. These small adjustments don't feel restrictive, but they create a hormonal environment where your body can burn fat more easily. Sleep also plays a surprisingly big role. When you don't sleep well, your body releases more cortisol, which can drive up insulin. You might find yourself hungrier, craving sugar, or feeling more tired than usual. Improving sleep doesn't have to be complicated. Turning off screens 30 minutes before bed, dimming lights, or creating a simple nighttime routine helps your nervous system settle. When your stress hormones calm down, your insulin responds better. Many people notice that when they sleep well, their appetite naturally becomes more balanced. Stress management is another gentle but important step. Chronic stress keeps your body in a state of alertness, which pushes insulin upward even if you're eating well. Simple grounding practices, slow breathing, stepping outside for a few minutes, journaling, or taking a warm shower help regulate your nervous system. When stress lowers, insulin becomes more sensitive, and you may feel more in control of your eating habits without forcing anything. Even small upgrades in food quality can help. Adding more whole foods like vegetables, lean proteins, beans, eggs, or nuts slows digestion and stabilizes blood sugar. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet. Start with one small step. Maybe adding one vegetable to your lunch or choosing a whole food snack instead of a processed one. These little changes help your body feel nourished, and they naturally support lower insulin levels. Hydration also matters. Sometimes when people feel hungry or crave something sugary, they're actually mildly dehydrated. Drinking water throughout the day helps your body process energy more efficiently and can soften the intensity of cravings. What's most important is remembering that these steps don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do everything at once. Each small shift gently nudges your insulin levels downward. Over time, these changes stack together, like pebbles filling a jar, until the entire metabolic environment shifts. Fat burning becomes easier not because you're trying harder, but because your body is finally receiving the right signals. When people commit to just a few of these simple habits, they often notice subtle but meaningful improvements, feeling full longer, fewer cravings, less fatigue, more stable mood, and eventually easier fat loss. These are signs that your body is waking up, responding, and healing. The insulin switch can be turned off, and you can do it not through force, but through steady, compassionate, realistic habits that support your body instead of fighting against it. When the insulin switch finally turns off, the changes inside your body are quieter and more gradual than people expect, yet they are incredibly powerful. It's not like flipping a light where everything changes instantly. It's more like watching fog slowly lift from a landscape. Little by little, things become clearer, lighter, more energized, and more balanced. Your body begins to function the way it was designed to, without the constant pressure of elevated insulin forcing it into storage mode. And as insulin gently falls back into its natural rhythm, a chain reaction begins. One that makes fat burning feel possible again, rather than like an uphill battle. One of the first changes people notice is more stable energy. When insulin resistance is high, your blood sugar often swings up and down throughout the day. Those swings are what create the crashes, the mid, after, noon slumps, and the sudden need for caffeine or sugar. But when insulin starts to normalize, your blood sugar becomes steadier. Instead of sharp spikes followed by deep drops, it forms gentle waves. This gives you a consistent sense of energy, the kind that makes you feel steady instead of scattered. You may wake up feeling refreshed instead of groggy. You may get through the afternoon without collapsing into a craving or a nap. Your brain feels more awake because the fuel supply is stable again. As energy steadies, mood often improves too. Blood sugar swings affect not only hunger but also irritability, anxiety, and emotional reactivity. High insulin can create a state where your brain constantly feels like it's running out of fuel, even when your body has plenty stored. When the insulin switch turns off, that sense of internal urgency calms down. You might feel more patient, more grounded, less on edge. Many people describe a subtle sense of emotional relief, like they're finally not fighting with themselves all day. This calmness is a sign that your nervous system is no longer being pulled around by unstable blood sugar. Another meaningful shift is fewer cravings. High insulin traps energy inside your cells, leaving your brain feeling hungry even when you've just eaten. That's why cravings for sugar, bread, or snacks can feel so intense and urgent. But when insulin lowers and becomes more sensitive, your cells can release stored energy again. This means your brain stops sending desperate hunger signals. You might find yourself able to walk past snacks without feeling pulled toward them. Meals feel more satisfying and hunger feels more predictable. This is one of the clearest signs that fat burning has been reactivated. Your body isn't begging for quick fuel anymore because it can finally access the long-term fuel it has stored. Inside your fat cells, something even more important begins to happen. When insulin is high, fat cells are told to hold on to everything, but when insulin drops, that message changes. Fat cells begin releasing energy in the form of fatty acids back into your bloodstream. This is the literal moment when fat burning becomes possible. The stored energy that was locked away begins flowing out so your muscles and organs can use it. You may not feel this happening consciously, but it shows up in many small ways. Your stomach feels less bloated, your clothes begin to fit differently, or you feel lighter even before the scale moves. Your digestion often improves as well. High insulin can cause bloating, water retention, and a heavy feeling after meals. When insulin lowers, inflammation decreases. Your gut can relax. That puffy feeling around your belly softens. You might notice that meals sit better with you, and your body doesn't react as intensely to foods that used to leave you uncomfortable. Another internal shift is improved metabolic flexibility, which simply means your body becomes better at switching between burning carbs and burning fat. When insulin resistance is high, you depend almost entirely on carbs for energy, which creates the cycle of craving and crashing. But once insulin becomes sensitive again, your body can move smoothly between fuel sources. This is what makes fat loss feel easier and more natural. Your body becomes adaptable instead of stuck. Even your muscles and liver begin functioning more efficiently. Muscles start absorbing glucose with less insulin needed. Your liver stops overproducing sugar, which further stabilizes your metabolism. Your cells respond more quickly to hormonal signals. Everything feels smoother, more coordinated, and more efficient. People often describe this phase as feeling lighter or cleaner inside. They're not necessarily losing huge amounts of weight immediately, but their body feels less inflamed, less stressed, and less resistant. This sense of ease is a sign that the metabolic environment has shifted. The battle is no longer between you and your body. Now your body is finally on your side, and perhaps the most meaningful change is the sense of hope that returns. When you feel your cravings calming, your energy stabilizing, and your belly slowly softening, you realize your efforts are finally working. You start to trust your body again. You start to feel capable again. This internal shift is the real beginning of sustainable fat loss, not because you're pushing harder, but because your body is functioning better. When the insulin switch turns off, fat burning becomes not just possible, but natural. Your biology begins to support you, and that's when long-term change truly begins. Creating a long-term insulin-friendly routine is less about drastic changes and more about gentle, consistent habits that support your body day after day. The goal isn't perfection or strict rules. It's about building a rhythm that naturally keeps insulin lower, allows your body to burn fat efficiently, and feels sustainable for your real life. When the insulin switch stays off consistently, your metabolism functions smoothly, cravings decrease, energy stabilizes, and belly fat gradually releases without forcing or punishing yourself. The key is small, repeatable actions that support your biology rather than fight it. One foundational step is designing balanced meals that combine protein, fiber, and healthy fats with carbohydrates. This doesn't mean eliminating foods you enjoy. It means pairing them in ways that slow digestion and prevent sharp insulin spikes. For example, adding nuts or avocado to a carb-based meal or including eggs or lean meat alongside vegetables helps your blood sugar rise gradually. Over time, consistently choosing balanced meals trains your body to respond better to food, improving insulin sensitivity and making fat burning easier. Meal timing also matters, and a simple, flexible structure can make a big difference. Instead of constant grazing or snacking throughout the day, aim for spaced meals that give your body time to lower insulin between eating periods. This could be 3 main meals with a few hours in between, or gradually experimenting with intermittent fasting windows if it fits your lifestyle. The exact timing isn't as important as creating consistent periods where insulin can drop, allowing your fat stores to become accessible. Mindful eating is another tool that helps maintain insulin balance. Paying attention to hunger cues, eating slowly, and stopping when comfortably full allows your body to regulate appetite naturally. When you rush meals or eat while distracted, it's easy to overeat, which can spike insulin unnecessarily. Mindfulness doesn't mean restriction. It simply means giving your body a chance to communicate what it actually needs and respond accordingly. Gentle movement is a cornerstone of a long-term routine. This doesn't require intense workouts every day. Short walks after meals, light stretching, or low-impact exercises like yoga or cycling help your muscles use glucose efficiently, keeping insulin lower and supporting fat burning. The key is consistency rather than intensity. Small daily movement becomes a signal to your body that it's time to release stored energy, and over time, it enhances insulin sensitivity. Stress management is equally important for sustaining results. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, which drives up insulin and can stall fat loss. Incorporating simple stress reduction practices into your routine, deep breathing, journaling, short nature walks, meditation, or even just quiet time with a cup of tea, helps keep your nervous system calm. When stress is reduced, insulin becomes more responsive, cravings are easier to manage, and your body naturally shifts toward fat burning. Sleep is another non-negotiable part of a long-term insulin-friendly routine. A regular sleep schedule, aiming for 7-9 hours, helps regulate both insulin and cortisol. Poor sleep disrupts hunger hormones, makes cravings more intense, and can drive insulin higher even if your diet is otherwise balanced. Prioritizing rest and creating a calming bedtime routine supports your metabolism and improves how your body responds to food and energy needs. Hydration and small lifestyle tweaks also contribute to maintaining insulin sensitivity. Drinking water consistently, reducing highly processed foods, and including whole food snacks when needed provide stable blood sugar support. Over time, these small choices become automatic, creating a rhythm where your insulin naturally stays in a healthy range and your body remains in fat burning mode without you needing to micromanage every meal. The beauty of a long-term routine is that it can be flexible. Life isn't perfect, and there will be social events, travel, and occasional indulgences. The goal is not perfection, it's a resilient rhythm. Even if a day feels off, returning to your core habits of balanced meals, mindful eating, gentle movement, stress management, and adequate sleep keeps the insulin switch off most of the time. Over weeks and months, these habits compound, and your body becomes increasingly efficient at burning fat, stabilizing energy, and supporting overall health. When this rhythm is established, fat loss becomes sustainable, cravings decrease, energy is steadier, and you feel more in control without relying on willpower alone. The insulin switch stays off naturally because your lifestyle consistently signals to your body that stored energy can be used safely. You don't need extreme diets, strict calorie counts, or punishment. You simply need a thoughtful, consistent routine that supports your biology, creates ease, and allows belly fat to release gradually and sustainably. Over time, this approach not only maintains fat loss, but also improves overall well-being, making you feel calmer, stronger, and more confident in your body's natural ability to regulate itself.